Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
And we did have a British US. This was a bounce arrow go right here on the, this was right at the close of the 11:15 candle. And we do have we only have 17 pips to the green zone. So again, it's a tradable trade. I would just be looking at it from a little bit different profit margin, I would say. And if you're looking at it from the, you could have your stop, I'd keep your stop at the other side. You could use a 20 pip stop on that. And I would probably go with about 7 pip target. That gets you just above the zone, gives you room for your spread. And I see that's a viable trade. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take that one on a sell. Put my 7, I usually use 15 pip stop, 7 pip target, and we'll see what happens with it. Looking at the our heat map and our news that we have, basically we do have some variety of red folders here on the euro. This was at 4 o'clock this morning. We have some euro news, and later on this afternoon with the Canadian dollar at 8:30. Actually, at 8:30 this morning, we have some Canadian U.S. news, red folders. So keep that in mind. And for the Forex Factory, this would be for May 4th. And they're showing it later, not a whole lot. They're not showing a whole lot for during the daytime. They're not showing much with the catch as being red folder, but I would pay attention to that at least. And then at 6:45 tonight with New Zealand, they have some red folders there. And looking at the heat map, we're looking at the British pound is strong on the higher time frames, not so much on the lower time frames. And the US dollar is a little bit stronger than the British pound. So we'd be trading to the favor of the US dollar. And that trade we just took was a short, and that would be with the strength of the dollar heading to the downside. So that's that trade we're in. I'm in that one right now, and we'll see where it takes us. I got in a little bit late. It would have been better getting in up here. Like I said, we're only going for 5 pips on this. So 5 to 7 pips. We'll see where it takes us. And let's see, as we look through our charts, 5 minutes. British yen. It is in a bounce arrow go. Let's see where this one is. Again, 13 pips to the zone. A little bit tight on the target area. Like I said, if it's if I can get a anywhere from around 15 pips, I'll just go for half the target. And let's see where our moving averages are. And it looks like we could get a bounce off of the 200 moving average right here. So we may only have a couple pips to go before it gets a little bit of a rejection of that. Everything else is pretty much in the right order. We have the green. We're getting some nice crossovers of the higher time frames, moving averages. But I'm a little concerned about getting this little bounce. We could penetrate it.
Take a look at the 15-minute too, Al.
And we're right in the zone on that one. Yep. So I'd probably stay away from this one a little bit more. This one looks like it's already pretty much run its course for right now. And let's see, Aussie yen, 5 minutes. Same situation there. Let's see if we have any cryptos or indexes. Nothing there. A lot of times the indexes won't start showing much up until getting closer to the U.S. market open. Any questions so far?
Nope, nothing. Nothing yet.
So right now we just sort of wait and keep our powder dry and wait and see if we can get something that's going to materialize for us. And we should get something in another 3 minutes. So we should get some 5-minute candles close and another 8 minutes for another 15-minute. And let's see what we have for the overnight on some of these. Here's the money zone. And then here's the overnight highs and lows. You see it broke to the upside. There was a nice little basing all along from the yesterday's close to the money zone time frame. Nice, relatively tight range. Only 13 pips all night long. Then it broke that range, and then we had a nice little push up to the upside. Here would be the let's see, go and draw a line. Here's the top of the candles across the overnight highs and lows. Draw the bottom candle. That was our range, and then once I hit the money zone, it broke out of the money zone. Here's the breakout, and then you'd be going for 20 pips, and then you could go out. It looks like you've gotten 34 pips with only a 10 pip risk level on that one. That's why it's nice to be able to trade those London sessions, because you do get some nice moves during that time. Let's see. Let's take a look at our chart with our. You should be seeing the RCS tool. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to use my desktop like I would my laptop, so I can get a little bit more used to my laptop. And so right now we're looking at the strength. Right now the Swiss franc is strong on pretty much all 4 time frames. So we'd be looking to the trade to the strength of the Swiss. And New Zealand and CAD seem to be relatively weak. So if we could be looking at like a Swiss CAD pair, that might be a possibility. Trade to the strength of the Swiss. As we can go and start looking for some of our own trades. Swiss CAD, go 15-minute. Ooh, that's a nice big move down. That was all within the last 15 minutes. There must have been some news announcement. There wasn't any arrows, there wasn't any alerts on that. There was a big drop in a 15-minute period. Let's see the US CAD, see where that might have anything. That's why we're in that trade. Take a little heat on that, but nothing to worry about yet. And we wait. Yeah, just remind everybody, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the question and answer box. We're more apt to see them if you put them in the chat box. Let's see an Aussie CAD 5-minute chart. Yeah, this could maybe have some potential here. Looks like we have lots of room to the upside. That's 15, 17 pips to the upside Aussie CAD. Let's see where the Aussie's weak. Aussie and CAD are both weak on the lower time frames. Yeah, I don't want to trade that. There's not enough diversion between the CAD and the Aussie to get a good feel for which direction, who's going to win the direction battle. It does look like the Aussie is winning the race here. If that arrow would have been over here right off the bounce, I would have liked it a lot better. The fact that we traced first and then gave us the up arrow gives a little bit more pause. It wasn't really a direct bounce off of that. We can check our moving averages and see what they're doing. And looking like we're going to have a little bit of a bounce right off here at the 200 moving average. That's a very strong area to has a break through that area. And we had this little drop, it had some basing drop, came back, this little wick right here retested this base. So we have a little bit of an area that we'd have to get through before it would take off up to the zone. I'll just draw these this top of the wicks right to the bodies of these candles that came back up to retest. You have that wick inside there, but it would have to break through this area right here before I would be looking at it to take off to the upside. So that's not a trade either. If it breaks through here, if it can break through this and it starts showing some strength, you may be able to get a little bit of better entry. But I'd like to see a little bit stronger push to get into this zone. This right now, this is just a retest.
Wow, the S&P just melted.
We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was an alert on the 15-minute.
Ooh.
And we usually do it on the 5.
You had an alert on the 15?
It's on the 15, yeah. I didn't see the alert, but
I didn't see any. I don't have any alert for the S&P.
Yeah, no, I didn't see the alert, but I'm just looking at the chart and the it just melted. There's a big long candle.
It looks like the indexes are having a little bit more of a struggle this beginning this last week. I think we may see some pullbacks in the indexes from the all-time highs. And let's see, let's just take a look at this on a different, on the moving averages. And here's the 200 moving average up here. That's that purple line. And for me, it's always going to be, that's always going to be purple. The orange one's always going to be the 62 exponential. The arrow moving average is always going to be that aqua color. And then we have the yellow, which is always going to be a 13 exponential moving average. And then the green, the heavier green one is going to be the 5 exponential. And when you got the 5, the yellow, the aqua, and then the orange all moving in the right direction, pointing up or pointing down. That way you know that you've got all the strength on the different time frames in your favor, and then you have a little bit better chance of getting your target pips out of that. Looks like we're about having our 6 or 7 pips there. I just closed out my trade. All right, so I have one winning trade in the bag. Remember, if you go for, if you can use a tighter stop, you can go for a larger lot size for the same move. And so you need less pips profit in order to get the same gains on the trade. So that's why a lot of times I tighten up my stop and I take a larger position size, trying to keep within the same parameters of a 2% risk. Any questions so far?
We do have a message from Bren in the chat. I'll read it to you. Just want to say thank you very much. I've been studying hard for the past year and a bit now, and I'm now closed out 5% up on FTMO in 2 days. Can't wait to shake your hands at Orlando. Thank you so much.
All right, well, good. That's always nice to hear that things are working for you. Main thing is just stay disciplined. Don't get caught up in emotions. Just have a trade plan and just stick to that plan and try and keep the emotions out of it. Try and trade like a robot. And the software that we have it's really incredible software. I know it wasn't until I started using some of the software that Auvoria Prime has that I was able to trade consistently.
Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
We have a question. How many pip stop loss do you use? And thank you.
Okay, it really depends on the pair. I'll show you my calculator chart to, let me see if I can pull up my calculator. Let's see. Okay, let me pull this over here. Oops, I guess I got to turn this one off. We have this calculator which we've developed, and I just realized a very good question. When you trade the different pairs, you'll see that the standard lot size varies depending on what pair it is. Now, most of your U.S. pairs, like the British U.S., it's pretty much a standard lot is $10, which basically means if you had a full lot, like a 1.0 lot size, every pip would be a $10 move. And that gets to be a little bit pricey, especially if you have a small account. So our calculator here basically has whatever your account size is. So let's say let's just use round numbers. We'll use $1,000 account. Start with $1,000 account, and you want to risk 2% of the account. Well, basically, depending on what your lot size is or what your risk is, depends on how big of a lot size. So if I use a standard risk of, let's say, 40 pips, then with this account size, risking 2%, now I can change that to 3% if I want or whatever you want to. But basically what it's saying is that with this risk, I'm going to be risking $20 if I risk 2%. If I get stopped out with a 40 pip stop loss on a 0.05 lot size, I will lose $20. On the same token, if you cut your profit short, then if let's say you take a 10 pip or a 20 pip target, well, then you can make $10 because that would be basically 1%. But what it does, this gives you your risk, your profit limit, how should I say it? This is your
Profit regulator.
thank you. That's what I was say. This is actually your profit regulator by how many pips of a risk you're willing to take. So, I mean, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go for, so if I have, for instance, like my account size right now is $2,700. And if I'm going to be trading the British US pair, it's my standard lot size 10. But let's say I'm going to be trading, let's just say we're going to be trading the Aussie New Zealand. So I'll come over here with our Aussie New Zealand. There's a little drop down window. Now I'll go with find the Aussie New Zealand. And you'll see that my lot size changes based on my risk because of the standard value of a standard lot on the Aussie New Zealand. So basically, to answer the question is that I usually use this calculator. I put my my accounts like this. Sometimes I'll go with like a 3% risk if I feel really good with the trade. I pretty much set my charts so they're just pretty much set, and then I'll readjust them maybe once a week as my account grows or changes value. Then I'll adjust my lot sizes to compensate for that. But right now, if I have a 3% risk and I use a 20 pip stop, which is actually I oftentimes use a 15 pip stop, you'll see that my lot size now could be a 0.75 lot size as opposed to with a 3% risk. I go back to 2% risk, you'll see my lot size changes to about 4, and that's about what I usually use.
Al, is this
Yes.
calculator available now in the back office?
I don't know if it was supposed to be. I don't know if it still is. If it's not, you can email me at trademasters@gmail.com and I can send it to you.
Okay, I'll put the email address in chat. Okay, it's in the chat.
It may take me a day or two to get back to you, but I'll just I'll send it to you.
Bren, don't forget your AI. There's in Trade Masters.
We had to use the AI because the proper way of spelling trade was already taken, so we had to use the AI acronym for the artificial intelligence. And let's see, what else do we have? And here's a 15-minute chart on the Swiss yen. And it looks like we're in an uptrend. And I'll scroll back out. We're in an uptrend with a down arrow. That's the bounce arrow go, but it's a contra trend. We are in the contra trend zone of the 8:30 to 10 o'clock, or 8 to 10. So we could possibly take this trade. I'd want to check out the strength of the Swiss and the yen before I would take that. So I'll come over here. Now I'll see where the Swiss and the yen, they're pretty much both strong on the lower time frames, both strong on all time frames. So right now there's a battle going on between the Swiss and the yen. So until they get, I guess, to be a little bit more confirmed, then I will pass on that trade. And you can see there's a lot of consolidation going on right here with the moving averages. And usually when they're that tight together, that means it's in a very tight range. You just want to stay away from it. This thing's traded inside a 16 pip range for about the last couple hours. Any other questions while we wait?
I have no questions in the chat.
None in Q&A.
Can we check Euro US on the 5-minute? That's a question for you.
Euro US. Okay. Euro US 5-minute. Move our moving averages up. And so we would have a target. If it do have an upside, we have a target right about there. And checking that, where that would be About 15 pips to the upside. We do have some crossovers of the moving averages. They're still a little bit out of position right now. Right now, it's trying to gain some strength here. Let's see what Euro US. Let's see how that looks for the Euro is in the top three. US, not a lot of split. Again, I'm not seeing enough split there to want to take that trade. It could work out, but I'd like to see a little bit more of a range between the two. And let's see, we have a bit of here's a trend line. And you see a little bit of a wick right up there. Couldn't hold it, so that's a significant area. And we have another bottom trend line. So right now it's sort of sandwiched in between these two blue trend lines. And if you measure the distance between the two, you're only looking at 7 pips. Basically, I'd like to see a breakout close above the trend line, come back in, retest the trend line, and then come on up to retest this area or this area. So right now I give this one a little bit more time to see if it can develop. We did get a break of these wicks over here. This was a drop, came back up, retested this area, dropped, retested. So right now this is a test area right in here. And I'll be using pretty much if I use that area right now. So if it can break through, let's say you have this moving average kind of in the way to your profit margin. Like I say, you don't have to take marginal trades because there's enough trades that come along the way with, we have 28 pairs that we look at plus the indexes. There's usually something coming down the road. This does look like it wants to break out to the upside, but we do have a lot of downward pressure. The trend on this one is down. So whatever you take, if you're taking this, it's going to be a contra trend trade. We'll keep an eye on this one.
Got a
Got a
pound.
couple alerts here. It's Swiss or British Swiss. That's right into the zone. No trade there right off the top of my head. And this one has maybe some possibilities. British yen. Let's see how much room we have to the downside. It did break through the 200 moving average. That was a good thing. There's 20 pips to the downside. Let's see what kind of a range we have here. We are in an uptrend. We have more green than red. but that's a bounce arrow go. Oh boy, that's a and actually just broke the overnight range on this candle. Other than being contra trended, it doesn't look too bad. Let's see where the British yen is on the charts. The yen is strong. The British is kind of in the middle. The yen is strong, kind of weak. So we are favoring the yen, strength of the yen. And all of our we have all our moving average crosses. It's a little bit tight. I don't like this wick right here where it came right down, wick back up. I like to see how this candle closes, because if this candle can close higher than this wick, then we may have to bail on this one. I did not take this trade, but I don't like that pivot low there. And right over here is where we had yesterday's money zone level. This is the low of the money zone for yesterday. Now, if it can break that level, then we could head on down. So this thing could actually be a nice little trade. You can take a shot at this one. We have a drop, base, drop. But I wouldn't go for too much on this one. Let's see what it looks like on a 5-minute chart.
Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
Judson would like to know, would this be a flat bottom wedge?
A flat bottom wedge. This one right here?
Probably on the 15. Probably on the 15.
Let's see. I wouldn't call it that, no. And I do see this little drop facing. It is forming a little bit of a wedge right in here, but I don't like this candle, this middle candle here, where this strong move down got rejected. So that means the buyers came in right around that area. It's not really a wedge yet.
Yeah, Judson was mentioning on TradingView on the 5-minute. That's how he drew it out. TradingView on 5-minute.
British yen on TradingView. Let's see what we have here. British yen. I do like this drop, this spacing. It could drop again. I do like this little area right in here as a base. Now you do have a little bit of a wedge here. So here's your low. There's a low, there's a high, here's a higher low. I've called more of a flat top than a flat bottom. Yeah, I kind of like it more of a flat top than I do a flat bottom here. Yeah, that little wick, little pop up there. Now, if it can break through the bottom, come back up, retest it, then we may have a trade there. And then your target area would be this area. See how much room we have here. That's 27 pips to that zone. So if this breaks, this could be a nice little trade. And let's see, we do have a nice little spread. We have our 3-point spread with the British pound is the purple one down below. So that means there's strength to the on the yen. I'll make sure I got that right. This tool is really kind of nice. I can put it on TradingView and I can just have just the pairs I'm looking at. Yeah, the British pound is purple and the yen is that more of a greenish color. So we are getting a little bit of a break here. All of our moving averages are correct in the right direction. Green, yellow. The white is the 62 on this chart. I think we may take this one. Let's take a look at this one on TradingView or on the MT4. If I took this, I'd only go for about 4 or 5 pips. And your spread, what's the spread on this one? British yen. Spread is 1.2. I think this is one I'm just going to watch, maybe note for future reference. I think this one's going to work out, but I think if you take it right now, I think you're going to have a hard time getting your spread and profit out of it. Let's see, CAD yen. We have that one. We already talked about that. British Swiss, that one's breaking through. That one's going all the way through there. This one looks like it has some momentum. Broke the 200. Drop base. It's kind of already out of the chute. I hate to chase this one. British Swiss. Swiss is strong, British is weak. Let's see what this thing looks like from a higher time frame target. We have this little area right in here. It's going to have to get through. So we may be a little late to the party on this one. So that's 13 pips to this zone. These little wicks got broken off of this down move. And so here's the anchor, here's the hit, here's the next retest of, this will be the third hit on this trend line. You can see we're just right about there. So yeah, don't take this trade yet. If you can get this thing to pull back a little bit, then maybe you have a shot at it.
In the Q&A, LG Style of 5 says that the GB dropped. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, what time frame or in general, what?
Looks like let's see here. The British pound has gotten weaker. 5-minute chart, it's kind of getting a little bit of strength there. Right in the middle of the pack, middle of the pack, middle of the pack. I don't like trading the ones that are in this middle three because that means there's a lot of indecisiveness. Looks like we have a little bit of an upward channel with this. Here's an anchor, here's a hit. Here's the third hit of the trend line. So right now we have a little bit of a channel, ascending channel.
LG Style of 5 was mentioning Al on the 5-minute as far as GB weakening.
LG style, what's LG?
That's the person's name ID.
Okay. Okay, I see that. Yeah, the fact it's bouncing off of this trend line here, I'll stay away from this one. Had these moving averages not been in the way, I've been more apt to take that, even though it was a contra trend trade based on the moving averages. Or is it based on the arrow zones, I should say. Isn't it? Well, see, it isn't a downtrend. We have more red than green. So it wasn't a downtrend. There's lots of room to the downside still. I don't know where you'd put your stop at this point. If you were to go for that zone, you pretty much have to go with a 40 pip stop, I think. 40 pip stop would take you all the way up to this little level right here above the arrow moving average. I'd be more apt to wait for a retracement, wait for this thing to come back and retrace. Let me draw a Fibonacci on this one. It's coming down. If it can come back and retrace to the 38%, back into this little area, and then make it, that's where I'd be more apt to take this one at this point. Well, I see a little bit of a pullback, give you a little bit of a chance to get in, and then your target will be down here.
Al, Judson has a question.
Okay.
The Bitcoin sell on the M15, I think it might be a counter trend trade if it were a Forex pair. Would that work the same with crypto?
Bitcoin 15. I would say it probably worked the same. I mean, the bottom line is these cryptos are in an uptrend. They have been for quite a while. Yeah, I would call this to be a contra trend trade.
And you would work it up the same way?
I'd work it, yeah, I'd work it the same way probably, yeah. I'm not sure what the pip value is on the cryptos. That's a whole nother ball game. So the pip values are going to be different. I would view those a lot like what the indexes are. I mean, Bitcoin especially, it moves in $100 increments. I mean, it's a $60,000 index or entity.
Right. And then Judson also just added that Bitcoin is down 4.23% today.
Yeah, they usually, I think Bitcoin's kind of finding it's a little bit of a range right now. There's other cryptocurrencies out there that are performing a lot better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's sort of like the hard true standard. But there's other cryptos out there that are actually performing better than Bitcoin.
In the chat earlier, there was, I believe it was Brent had mentioned that, or maybe Judson, that Dogecoin has 30% change.
Increase.
Thanks, Ava. I was like, because I know it was back further. I know it was early. I remember reading it early. Thanks, sweetie.
Yeah, that Dogecoin, that's basically was started as a joke, but it's become a billion-dollar crypto. So I don't think it's much of a joke anymore, and I think there's a lot of excitement with it, and I think you're going to see that thing. It's going to be very volatile, but I think it's. I don't think it's going to go away. Same way with XRP. I think that's another one that was hit pretty hard with news and things. But again, I don't think it's going to go away either. But it's very volatile. I mean, they're inexpensive, but it goes from like $1.62 to $1.10 or something like that. So there's some pretty significant swings in percentage-wise.
Ethereum's doing really well right now. It's over $3,400 a coin, which is
Ethereum, Litecoin, all those cryptos are. Well, there's just a lot of uncertainty with the all the printing that's going on that people are trying to find other avenues to protect their wealth. Be gold, silver, cryptos.
Yeah, Doji is Elon Musk's favorite crypto. He's hosting Saturday Night Live this Saturday. Is he really?
Yeah.
He says something. Who knows what will happen? Now, let me ask you, Judson, Elon Musk, isn't he one of the guys that started this Doji coin as a joke?
I don't think he was one of those.
You don't think he was one of them?
I don't think he was.
Okay, so, okay, because I had heard his name mentioned with it.
Yeah, he is a proponent of it, and he will probably help drive that market because I'm sure he's got a lot of it invested, and people like to follow what he says and what he does.
Mhm.
Yeah, right now this thing's kind of range bound right now. This one's still kind of basing. It's just going sideways right now inside of a very tight zone. US yen. So these little 1 minute zones can be very powerful. You think that's all just a little 1 minute zone that would just pop through it, but oftentimes they will give you a bounce. Let's see US yen. Let's see what that might look like. $15-minute chart. There's the anchor, several hits. There's another hit, trend line. This thing could possibly give us a little bit of a pop down here. It's got room to 10 pips to the target. US yen. The yen is stronger by 3 on the 15-minute chart. So here was a nice little pullback. I think I'd be okay putting a buy stop in. A 109.10. or sell stop rather is what I'm talking about. That's what I meant. And then the target would be right down here about 109.07. If it gets me in, it should take one clean swoop. If it can't get down here and get me out of the trade, then I will probably bail on the trade. This one's pretty aggressive. See, that's only 3 pips. No, I'm going to take this off. It's too close. It may work, but it's just not that much till you get the spread out and get the target. It's just not, the risk reward's not there. That one's still kind of range bound. US yen. That's one we talked about earlier. And let's see, Bitcoin, we've already talked about that. Let's see what these moving averages look like. And all the moving averages are in the correct direction. We do have this little pivot area right here. See all these wicks right here. There's a lot of wicks right in this area. Not too much for the close. I see the wicks are getting higher and higher too.
Is the 15-minute Bitcoin in an uptrend, Al, or downtrend?
15-minute Bitcoin, I would say it's in a downtrend right now. Well, it's overall it's in an uptrend, but it's pulling back right now. It's kind of going. It's retracing. The Bitcoin in general it's an uptrend.
Well, yeah, that I know, but I noticed that as I go through all the different charts, they're all like, some of them are different for the time frame, right? So
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at Bitcoin yet today.
Yeah, right now with this one on the 15-minute time, I mean, the fact they are 200 moving averages kind of pointing down, it tells me that it's probably in somewhat of a retracement mode.
Mhm.
I just don't know how deep it's going to go to the retracement. Kind of like if we draw a Fibonacci from this one to here. See, it did come back to the 61% retracement, and now it's coming back down to retest this. So basically, we have this 23% area down here. We have the 23% area up here. And that'd be more apt to be a buyer down here and a seller up here until it gets out of this range. Nice little bounce right off of this trend line. Well, actually, I drew the trend line right to it, so it's not really a bounce, but you can see where it's trying to get that little wick.
Yeah.
But all the moving averages are pointing down, but I think this is more of a consolidation area right now. But this is trading. You find some alerts, you look and you check it out. You see if it looks like there's room and momentum for the trade. See if everything's moving in the right direction for the trade, and just be selective. Actually, so we're forming a little bit of a channel here on this lower part. And we had the break. There's an anchor, here's a hit. Here's the penetration coming up, retesting this, and then we have a trend line from the upside. Anchor, here's a hit. There's a hit. That was a near hit up there.
Did we have an alert on the Euro GBP?
Euro GBP. We might have. Yeah, we did.
Okay, Charmaine was
Let's
asking.
take a look at that. Do we have we don't have a zone we don't have a bounce on the zone. Let's see where our moving averages are. Crossing over the 200 to the upside. They're not all quite in the right direction. They're moving in the right direction, but not quite there yet. This looks like we have equal zones, 2 red, 2 green. And the range on this is 70 pips, so it's got a nice little range between the two. And Euro British, let's see what that looks like. The Euro British. Euro stronger, Euro stronger, Euro stronger. If you want to trade that to the upside, not too bad. And there is room to the upside, 26 pips. A nice little break of the trend. This one has a strength to the upside. We are kind of right in the middle of the zone. Don't like that part too much. We draw our fib lines from up here to down here. It's pulling back to the 61% retracement of this down move, pulling back 61%. And yeah, the fact it's right in the middle, I'd like to see it be a little bit more on one end or the other end. Now, if we can get this thing to kind of curl over and give us some downward pressure, then we'd have a nice little target to the downside. The fact it hasn't hit this zone yet, it's just kind of working its way down there. Yeah, I don't like trading when things are right in the middle of a big area because you really don't know which way it's going to go. You're just kind of guessing.
Excuse me, Al. Excuse me, Al.
Yes.
Philip says, I'm in a sell-off on H4 on Euro USD in drawdown. Your thoughts? Also in GBP USD up nice there.
Euro USD.
Yeah.
Euro USD on H4.
Mm-hmm. Swing trading it.
Euro USD. Four-hour chart. Not much of a swing trader myself, but well, it looks like we're going to have a bounce off the 200 moving average. We're already in a zone. I'd say if you're selling, you're probably going to be getting some sort of a retracement off of this area. If you're profitable, I'd say I take your profits off. It may come down and bounce off the 200 moving average, but I wouldn't expect it to. Right now, if it bounces off the 200 moving average, I would expect it to retrace and maybe give another shot if it's going to go lower. But I'm thinking it's going to, here's a nice drop, retrace. Here's pretty much the end. I think this is kind of the end of the down move for right now. What was the other one?
No, he was saying that he's up nicely on the GBP USD, pounds US.
GBP.
That was more of a comment, not so much
Oh, I see.
a question. The first part was a question.
Yeah, this British USD, this one, it looks like it has more room to the downside. I would not be surprised to see it come down and retest this zone down here. Well, we'll give this thing a few more minutes, wait for the next 15-minute bar to close and see what happens there. And if we don't have anything with that, then I think we're going to wrap this thing up for the day. We'll see if we get anything on the next 3 minutes.
Well,
yeah, this British USD, and this looks like it still has room to the downside. All the moving averages are down, and it's on a higher time frame, the 15-minute, but everything's tracking nicely. Everything's in the right direction. So you could just, if you're in this trade, then you could just, I would just keep your stop above somewhere between this arrow moving average and the 13. Because if it comes back, it's going to probably come back hard into that area. You just watch and see what kind of retracements it's had. Came down here, retraced back to the 38, came back down, made a new low. Came back out, retraced back up to the 20, almost to the 23. And we'll see what it does from this point. It may go up a little bit higher. A lot of times I'll see it, especially if it's a really strong move down, it won't go all the way up to the 38. It'll just stop around the 23% retracement and then go on down lower. This one has a lot of, this one looks like it has a lot of room to the downside. And one more minute, we should see what kind of alerts we get. Let's see, British USD, see where that is. British is weak, USD is in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. A little more strength to the dollar. This was a pretty big range right here, yesterday's range on this pair. And so it's right in the middle of this big range. You can see where the money zone is here. Not sure what to do with all of that. And let's see, here we have nothing new on that side, nothing new on here, nothing new on the 15-minute. 5-minute Euro British, back into the zone. Nothing there. And on the British New Zealand, this one might be on a 5-minute chart. This might be something here. British New Zealand, bounce arrow. Let's see where the trend is. I say this one is probably tradable. Maybe contra trend. It is an uptrend. We have a lot of room to the next zone here. And you have all the moving average crossovers, and I'd take a shot at this one. I give a little bit more room to the downside here. And I want to keep this above this little doji. That was an area of indecision. I say if this thing gets up to anywhere 5 to 7 pips, take your profit and walk away with it. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap this thing up. Get ready for Jackie if she's going to be there. Eva, I know Eva's got to take off, and I thank everybody for coming in. Sorry I wasn't feeling better. Hopefully I'll be better tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Have a
Yeah.
good day,
Carol.
everybody.
Hope you're feeling better, Al.
Yeah, feel better.
Enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for hanging in there, Al.
Safe travels. Thanks, EB, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
God bless.